Greetings, YouTube. So we are live over on twitch.tv/GlintingRuffian, and we are doing a little Dying Light 2 roundtable, just kind of discussing thoughts and feelings on the game right now. We have various levels of completion of the game. With I'm going to hop over to Zayden. I think you were the furthest. How far are you currently in Dying Light? What's your time?
Oh, give me a second to check how many hours.
Patrick, if you have yours readily available or can be
My
pulling
lord,
that
I
up.
am very sorry.
Your hours.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, I mean, I have them off the top of my head, but
All right, Patrick, what are your hours looking at right now?
about 11 or 12,
Okay.
right
And
between there.
Zayden, how much are you at?
I'm not 100% sure because it hasn't updated since this morning, but if I had to take a guess, around 14.
Okay. Yeah, and then
Zayden's just like 80. Oh my god.
and then I myself bowed out at I think I did 5 hours and some change. And then I just, I kind of realized it wasn't exactly what I was looking for, but we'll discuss that here, kind of some thoughts and feelings. I know we have kind of lightly touched on some of this. It seemed like me and Patrick were pretty close on a lot of our thoughts kind of towards the game and what, we were kind of seeing from it. But I'm super excited to see because I feel like we have kind of three tiers of Dying Light fans here. We have absolute noob, which is me. We have the, played both games, but I wouldn't say that, you're the diehard that Zayden is, Patrick.
No, Zayden is definitely more of a diehard than me.
And then, Zayden is like, oh, I've played 1,000 hours of the first game, beaten it 12 times,
I've
that
beaten
kind
it
of
more
thing.
like 18, but whatever. No, who's counting? No.
I beat the first one 3 times, but I didn't do the expansions. That's why I say Zayden's got me beat.
All right, yeah. Um, yeah, so I feel like it's going to kind of be interesting because I feel like we're sitting here all at different levels of the game and kind of I think definitely how much we kind of are into the game is definitely something to kind of take into account. Like I think
Agreed.
that I think that me obviously, not being super into the game, my stuff is obviously going to hold a lot of merits to people who aren't as sure about Dying Light, but it's not necessarily the thoughts of the diehard fan. And then you have the opposite side of Zayden, kind of speaks for the diehard fans and that kind of stuff. But
Mhm.
he is a little bit higher on this series than I feel like general people are. So we kind of
Yeah,
have that spectrum.
He's telling me I don't have a life.
burn.
But yeah, so I honestly I think I'm going to start off by hopping into, Patrick had hit us with a little overall, his like quick summed up thoughts and feelings on it. And I think what I'm actually going to start off with is so it hi Stella. What are you she just like jumped up on the couch all of a sudden. But yeah, we're gonna start off with what are your guys' thoughts and feelings on just game mechanics so far? We'll start with combat. Where you're at, how do you enjoy the combat of Dying Light 2?
You want to start, Zayden, or you want me to start?
I don't care. It's up to you.
I'll go first. I'll go first.
Sounds good.
I like the combat. I don't like fighting other people in the hand to hand combat. I feel like they swing at me and they can hit me from like 30 feet away.
That is definitely
I don't
something that
have
I was
I
also
don't have that
feeling.
problem at all with zombies really, but the people they just like, and it's not even a problem. Like they don't kill me. It's just annoying that I'm nowhere near this guy, but he's beating the shit out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So other than that, I don't mind it. I don't have any. I don't have guns or bows or anything like that, so I don't know how I feel about any of that yet.
Are there guns in this game?
There
I'm
are
pretty
guns in this
sure
game.
because in the inventory there's a place where it has ammo.
Interesting.
So
All right, Zayden, what are your thoughts and feelings on combat so far? You're a little bit
Um,
further than Patrick was, but
So, in my opinion, combat is a lot better in this game than the first Dying Light. The first Dying Light was pretty simple. There was very few things you could really do, and so it was basically the same few moves you did every single time to kill someone or a zombie. And this one, there's a lot more variety of what you can do, such as the parry, which I think was a good addition to this game. Being able to parry is a lot more fun because it gives you a lot more openings to be able to fight multiple enemies. In the first one, it was really hard to fight multiple enemies because you couldn't really get any of them off guard. So you had to basically run away, hit someone, run away, hit someone, and so it was kind of annoying. It wasn't like horrible, I wouldn't say, but it was kind of annoying that you had to do that. Um,
Um, Sorry. Well, you made me think of something when you said the parry. I agree with the parry. I like the parry, but I feel like the blocking is just terrible. I don't know about you guys. I can't block anything.
I
If
feel
I
like the
hold block,
timing is
they
really
power
weird.
attack me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
um,
like you have to time like before they swing, but I don't I don't know how I don't know. I personally cannot block anything.
do you just press it or do you hold it?
It says to press, so I press.
So press it like right as they're attacking, but also hold it because if you press and let go, you're just gonna let go of the block. It's
Yeah.
more
Okay.
of you press right as they're about to hit you to parry it, but you keep holding it so it doesn't go away. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's more of like a perfect
I'm
block
playing
rather than like a parry.
I'm playing right now, so I
Basically.
will continue to do I will do that. I'll give that a shot.
Um I also think that I really like how you can sneak up on people and kill them without alerting all of the other enemies because in the first one, it didn't matter if you were being super sneaky. To kill someone, you had to just beat the shit out of them. And sorry. And this one, you can
Oh, you can
sneak
say
up
shit. That's
and
good on YouTube.
assassinate them. And so it makes it a lot easier to be able to enjoy the stealth aspect of a zombie game, which should be a thing because in a zombie game, I feel like there's sometimes you need to be stealthy, you know? So I really enjoy that they added that to the game as well.
And so
I
that's
agree. Have you grabbed a zombie that you couldn't one shot kill yet, Zayden?
I have. I've done it once, and I just right after I grabbed him, I hit him once, and he was dead.
Oh man, I've died at least 3 times now because of that. I grab one that I think I can kill, and then it turns around and it's like a volatile or something stronger, and then everything murders me.
I have I have never encountered a volatile so far. I've been
Oh,
able
okay.
to like the one time like I kind of got close to one. He didn't notice me. I literally was on the he was on the opposite side of a trash can, and I was just hiding on the other side of it.
so I feel kind of similar to a lot of you guys. I think that the parry is definitely a cool, interesting mechanic that I think it, mixes up the combat. It makes it to where you're not just sitting here, like just like spamming the attack button. However, I feel like so at least where I made it to, I didn't have a power attack, and I
Yeah, you gotta unlock that.
okay, so that's something
Yeah,
you have to unlock. And so that was something that was super frustrating for me is it felt super forced to where it was like I I don't know. It's one of those that like we'll get to later. I kind of had this thought about it feels a little bit to me like a lot of the a lot of the stuff that you would think would be basic just features of the game seems like they lock them behind skill points.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
But
um,
we'll get back. We'll kind of dive into that. That's definitely a section I want to talk about. But for now, I want to stick with the combat, and then I want to transition over to something Zayden had said that I think is a good transitioning point. But yeah, I'd
um,
say my thoughts on combat are basically it feels relatively simple. I didn't feel like there was a lot of times where I would say, like, honestly, just the timing of the parry was the only thing that I get frustrated with. Other than that, it was like combat felt good. I also got annoyed with, so I don't know about you guys, but I had a couple fights where I'd be fighting somebody and I would dodge, left, right, or backwards, that kind of thing, while they were doing an attack, and it would like home over to me. So like they would be attacking one direction, I had dodged to the side, and it would like swing them sideways to where like their character model just like shifted unnaturally and hit me. Did you guys have any issues with that?
I haven't had
I
that
have not.
any.
No.
Okay, that's really interesting. It was specifically I had a boss fight where I was fighting the guy who, spoilers here, but there's a guy very early on side quest where he's selling poisoned water, and I fought the guy that had given him the poisoned water, and specifically during that quest, he like anytime he would do like a power attack or that kind of stuff where it was telling me to dodge, if I dodged once he had already started the attack, he would hit me every single time. Like he would just home in on me, and it was really frustrating.
Yeah, not one I. That's not one I have encountered yet, at least.
I didn't even do that mission, to be honest. I'm more focusing. I did a few side quests, but I'm more focusing on just the main thing because I can always go back and do side quests later. And so I typically on my first go I like to do the main quest mostly, and then on the second go I normally do all the side quests during the main and stuff. So
Hmm.
I didn't do that one, so I can't say I fought that person and had that problem, but I haven't had that problem while I was fighting.
Okay, yeah, that's actually interesting to hear because like I was certain that that was going to be something that I was like surely it's not just me, but I want to
It's just you.
transit I want to transition over to something Zane said about stealth being important in a zombie game and that kind of stuff. To kind of transitioning towards how do you guys feel about the knight in this one? I know that Patrick had a lot of strong feelings about the knight in Dying Light 2 compared to Dying Light 1. And so I want to hop over to, we'll start with Patrick, kind of get his thoughts on, the differences and that kind of stuff. And then we'll hop over to Zayden.
So I was kind of explaining it to Jillian earlier. I felt like the night in the first game was like really terrifying, and I felt that way because you didn't have to deal with it that much, but when you did, it was like shit could hit the fan in like half of a second. In this one, like it can be nighttime, you can be just running around on the street, and you can outrun everything. I've had no issue whatsoever, really. Um, Other than the occasional jump scare in a mission, but that's not really the point. Um, that's kind of my biggest thoughts on that. I don't really like what they did with the night, but uh, and like I said, I also really don't like how many missions are forced to be done at night because,
Yeah, that
like I
was that
said,
was
I
kind of
think
a
I think
surprise.
if you play night a lot, then it's not scary when you have to play it. You know what I mean? And that's yeah, that's my thoughts.
All right, Zayden, how about you? What are your thoughts on kind of the night in Dying Light 2 compared to Dying Light 1?
I 100% agree. Dying Light 1 was way scarier at night. Um, I definitely think the only thing that makes um, Dying Light 2 night scary is the chases, but they don't happen all that often. They only happen when I've sometimes fell off of roofs when I was trying to jump onto different ones and fell right on or next to like, what are they, like the screamers or whatever, and
Yeah.
then they'll scream for a whole bunch of zombies, and then that's when it's scary. But it very rarely happens because I rarely miss jump. I
But
I have
and I
so
always
many
feel
different
like
things
the
helping
chase is
that
so easy to escape. At
I have
least
so
for me.
I don't know. I have so many different things helping that I don't fall to the floor. Like I have a skill that basically makes me sprint super fast for a short amount of time so I can jump further. And then I have the one where even if it's like a super long or hard drop, my person will still grab on and pull myself up, even though um, before
So
you had it,
basically, you're not
if
spending
you'd
much
grab
time on the ground, anyways.
exactly, and so it is kind of annoying because in the first one, the volatiles literally were on the roofs and whatnot,
Yeah.
I'd randomly just climb up a building and see one sitting there, and then he punches me off. And this one, I've never seen a volatile on a roof.
So, kind of a
Yeah. Same.
question that I have for you guys, just because I didn't play the first one. So, in this one, you have the timer for, it's nighttime, you need to find a UV light or that kind of thing before the timer runs out. Was that a thing in the first game?
No, no.
No, and I do not like its addition.
It's
So,
it's
yeah,
stressful. It's really
It
stressful.
just seems
It
so
makes it
random. It doesn't seem like
yeah.
it. I don't understand it in the story either.
So Laura had an interesting comment when she was watching me play, and she was like, "It honestly feels like a mechanic added into the game to make it take longer because you have to break up the activities you're doing at night to, oh, I gotta go, I have a minute, 2 minutes left in my timer, gotta go run over the UV light and then head back to what I was doing." It kind
See,
of it feels like a filler, to like try and extend the game.
I'm a person that it hasn't affected me much because I've literally every single time I have that, I either have shrooms to the UV shrooms that I can use, or I wait till I've in one of the missions you had to go in an underground parking lot, and I literally waited till I think it was 12 seconds, and then I ran to a UV light and barely I made it with 0 seconds left.
I
Hmm.
kind of agree with you. I don't know. It doesn't. It almost like I kind of agree with both of you, but it doesn't feel like it has much of an effect other than it's just there. Like,
Yeah,
It just
I
it
agree.
it definitely doesn't add anything to the game, you know what I mean?
yeah, it seems like its whole purpose is kind of like you said. I would guess to try and
I
get you to
I think the
think
reason they
about it.
added it is to make it harder, so at night you can't or
I
if you're underground, you can't stay there as long, and so it rushes you to finish the mission. So if it's a stealth mission and you have 6 minutes, you can't take
yeah,
that long. You know what I'm
I
saying?
agree because like in the first game when you're getting hunted by volatiles, you just find a roof that you could hide on that
Yeah.
they might not see you. In this game, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that makes sense.
In there when I was underground in the parking lot, there was so many zombies, so I was trying to be stealthy, but at the same time, I had 6 minutes to go through the whole thing, find the stuff like that I was looking for, and get out.
Hmm.
And I only once I found where the stuff was, I was good, and then I ran to the UV light and went straight back. But finding it was a pain because I had a time limit. I had to be quiet, sneak around a whole bunch of zombies, and so yeah.
So, like literally where I had made it to, I already knew that there was a factory where there were characters making UV lights. What is there a point where you guys are at so far that people just start, why aren't people wearing these things on their belt? Like we see some that are just like hanging there, not plugged in or anything, like clearly running off battery or something. Like, do we ever get a point where characters are carrying this shit around?
I I haven't. You do see
Um,
some with like glow sticks almost. I'm and
I I can
but
craft UV bars and use them. I so I mean I can do that.
Okay,
I
so it
don't know
is
if
a
other
thing.
players do. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, that was
but
I
you
something I
can
was
haven't
even
curious
used
craft
about.
it.
those from the very beginning of
I've
the
never
game.
used it because I'm just like that makes it too easy. I like having a challenge, and so I try to make it as hard as possible. So unless I really need it, I'm not going to use it.
Mm-hmm. So
I mean,
before,
I have one in my inventory, but I have never used it.
all right. So before I move us along to the next topic, so one of the things like in Dying Light 1, I I swear the zombies were supposed to be stronger at nighttime. That's a thing, right?
No,
It's not just
No, it's
okay.
not the zombies. It's just the volatiles.
there's
The
the
volatiles.
volatiles, but then there's also the runners or whatever. The runners are out more at night, but that's it.
Okay. Because I literally I was playing and at one point I fell off the roof and I was just like, is this an issue? And I literally killed like at one point during nighttime. The only thing that stopped me was I had to go get under a UV light, but I literally killed like 40 zombies on the ground during nighttime. And I was like,
Yeah,
I was like, I feel like nighttime was supposed to be like I remember like literally, like I would watch my dad and he'd be like you said, just sitting on a roof time waiting out nighttime.
Yeah, I
His
did that
dad is a
for them.
wuss.
And like it doesn't feel like that's a thing in this. Like nighttime, it's just like it's more of an inconvenience because it's like, oh, I guess I'm going to, path towards this quest that I can only do at nighttime for no good reason.
Yeah,
Like
agreed.
that's another thing is like why are there so many quests that it's like, oh, you can only do them at nighttime, but it's like, why?
Yeah, no, there. I just did one earlier that was I had to do at night, and it was literally in like a train car sized room. So it's not like there was a shitload of zombies in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's just
Um,
it's definitely something weird.
I think the main reason, like they try to make night. I don't think they try to make it harder. I think they try to make it more annoying because in the first one there was the same amount of zombies out at night as there was um, during the day, and in this one there's dark zones, which during the day they're crowded and filled to the brim with zombies. Like you walk in a dark zone and there's 80 to 100 zombies, and but at night those zombies leave and walk around. So I don't really think they try to make the zombies harder. I think they just try to make it more annoying and where you want to stay off the floor because you don't want to run into a horde of zombies randomly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was one thing. Zane, you mentioned the like amount of zombies. I feel like there are like no zombies in this game at all. Like I remember you'd look out, like you'd be on a building, you'd look down, and there's like 8 zombies like right there at all times.
Um,
Like 90% of the time now, there's like three. Like I can see 3 zombies total. Like I don't get it.
I think it's because it's a bigger city, and since there was a controlled amount of people in there anyway,
Yeah.
there's not as many because people kill zombies every day, and so I feel like there's not too many,
No,
but at the same time, there's a decent amount, but they're spread throughout the whole city. And this
I
is a
get what
big
you're
city.
saying, but they never. I mean, they never say anything like that in lore, and I don't know. It just seems again much less threatening. Like it feels like the game is not. Like
I
I
think
said,
it's
it's not
I
as
think it's
threatening.
more based, honestly, it's not as based on zombies that like the first one as it is against humans. I
Yeah,
think it's
I
more
can
of
see
trying
that.
to focus on how it would be in the future of sorry, I can't talk apparently. A zombie apocalypse where you're like in The Walking Dead. You find out after a little your main enemies aren't zombies. It's
Yeah,
people. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's trying to focus on that and show that.
sounds like The Walking Dead. Yeah.
Exactly.
So something we've touched on and kind of, you know, popped about is how do you guys feel about the parkour in this one?
So far, I hate it.
I love it.
I definitely agree with you on. I don't. So it's not that it feels clunky to me, but I know it feels clunky because you have to unlock those skills.
Mm-hmm.
But when your game is known for the parkour, I don't think you should put the parkour behind a 10-hour play window. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Like
That
that
was
doesn't make
that was
sense to me.
something that was really frustrating with me because like all the review sites and that kind of stuff were talking about how great the parkour is. Like, oh, this is the best parkour since, Mirror's Edge, that kind of thing, like talking about oh, why this like so many reviews were like, oh, the story falls flat, but like the parkour feels great. And it's just one of those that it's like, does the parkour feel great? Because like I feel like I'm missing very basic things that it's just
I
like
agree.
it's like this character was supposed to be, a pilgrim. He was supposed to be, this like traveler. He
Yes,
theoretically should have these skills. Like why are we having to
that's
relearn
I.
everything?
I was just about to say that how like you're supposed to be such a badass, but you're like your guy can't I don't know. Like you were saying,
um
I can't climb up 3 feet of fucking wall like without my stamina going down. What?
well, I think that's because you get infected at the beginning, and so your stamina is horrible because of that.
Also,
Do they
more
mention
so
it
for
affecting your stamina?
Yeah,
Well, I
they do
mean,
talk
in the
about it in the
beginning,
story.
you had
Yeah.
way more stamina. Um, like the very beginning when you're climbing that roof to talk to what is his name? Um, Spike. When you're talking to Spike, you have way more stamina, and then when you get infected,
Yeah.
you have way less.
Hmm. I'm
I definitely think he's way slower and everything than Crane is, but I
Oh,
also
by a
think
mile.
if you're outside, like he wasn't really in big cities a lot. You know what I'm saying? When he was traveling, he was more in the country. I think he was more in better shape, but he wasn't necessarily a parkour god like Crane was.
yeah.
Mm.
And
I
so I
Well,
don't.
that's
I think he probably knew the basics, but I don't think he was great at it.
part of what Zenith was talking about with the melee, though. Like, how am I a pilgrim and I don't know how to heavy attack? How am I
yeah.
That's
anybody
fair.
and I don't know how to heavy attack? You know what I
Well, it's
mean?
just like
Um,
so here's a
Harder to
super
fucking
basic one
heavy
for you
attack.
guys. You can't slide at the beginning of the game. Like I played
Yes,
5 hours
that
of
is
this game and I could not slide.
yep.
Like
It was like down the first two.
super super basic mechanic that it's just like why is the slide locked behind, like that's a basic thing for most games. It's like sliding is just part of the maneuverability. And also, along those lines of like, okay, maybe he's not a parkour god, but like he's definitely like out there, like traversing, like, rock climbing, that kind of stuff. So I'd expect him to like have, like also locked behind, a skill wall, being able to wall run and that kind of stuff. Like it's just
yeah.
it's some of these like really
I
basic
just
ones
unlocked
that
that.
you look at other games and you start with them, like I'm looking at stuff like Jedi Fallen Order. Let's just throw it over there for a sec. You can slide, you can wall run, you can do all this stuff like from the beginning. And it just like it
Hmm.
seems so weird that like so much of this like basic stuff, like Patrick said, the power attack, that's like a super common mechanic in other games. And it just seems weird to me that they went and they took common mechanics from other games and then made them a skill in this game. Uh,
Agreed.
like it's just an interesting one. I along those lines, I find it so weird that there's not a sprint button.
I
Uh,
I noticed that like probably 5 hours in that you always sprint, and I don't like that.
And like it's such a I literally in my part 1 video that I have up, I make fun of Spike's sprint that he quote unquote is doing because he's like literally doing that thing where he's like kind of like bouncing from foot to foot as he's like running forward and it's like that's not a sprint. Like you are lightly jogging at best. And and that's just like how this entire game feels. Like it feels so slow
Yeah, I
and
think that's kind of like what Zayden was saying with how he's definitely slower than
it's so weird.
Crane.
Like it's just like the parkour. I don't know. Like it's so hard. Like Patrick said, of being like, oh, it gets good after 10 hours. Like I shouldn't have to play 10 hours to have basic, like skills.
I just think that you're going to lose players. Like, people aren't going to play 10 hours.
Yeah. So
Someone who's not as excited as me and Zayden for this game isn't going to play 10 hours
yeah, and
to have
that's
fun.
one of those sad things that I fell off after 5 hours. But I actually I took a picture of something. I saw somebody had tweeted out that I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on. So, somebody had tweeted out that Dying Light 2, its launch has been gigantic so far. So it reached 230,220 concurrent players on Steam, which is twice what Resident Evil Village hit last
Hmm.
year, and it's 5 times bigger than the all-time peak of Dying Light 1. So people
Yeah.
are hopping in. However, my question is because that is Steam, how many people are returning the game before the 2 hour window where they can get a 100% refund?
Um, I don't know. I don't know because I'm not the kind of like if I bought it even if I didn't like it, I would keep it just because like maybe I'll play it. So I don't
Uh-huh.
I'm the
you know
same
what I
way.
mean. And I sorry I stutter. I buy games that I'm sometimes like I don't even know if I'm gonna play this ever,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's in my collection. So I don't know. I think it's fun, and I mean it's fun for the first little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't know.
Yeah, I
I think
find
if
it
the window was a little bit longer, like a 5 hour window of return, I think it would get returned more.
for sure. I definitely agree with that. It's funny because I definitely think that, like obviously do I think they did this on purpose? No. But I find it a little hilarious just the fact that it's like you don't really get to the point to where you can wander the open world until after 2 hours into the game. Like you're kind of locked into main quest story for the first two
Hmm.
hours. And so
Yeah,
like I said, do I think they did it on purpose? Not at all, but it's just hilarious.
it's a funny coincidence.
Um but I it's so interesting because you guys
Funny.
are both super big Dying Light fans, and so I'm very curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on how big this seems to have gotten for this little bit. And on top of that, do you guys think or what, I'll save that last bit for later on. But like, are you guys surprised at all that this is twice as big as Resident Evil Village, which, Resident Evil super huge franchise, or that it's 5 times bigger than Dying Light 1 ever hit like at its peak?
Um,
Zane, you can start off.
I'm not really surprised with how well it's doing because, I mean, they took so long to develop this game and
Mhm.
they really put a lot of time and effort into it. A lot of other games don't put nearly as much time. And so, and also, a lot of people, I think Dying Light 1, because the brand wasn't very, like, known,
Mhm.
even when it first came out, it didn't have a lot of players, but over time it grew pretty like it steadily had players if that makes sense. Um Even after years people were playing like new people were like, "Oh, this looks fun. I saw it on YouTube. I'm going to play it."
Uh-huh.
Or, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't think it was ever like huge at one point in time. I think it just steadily stayed somewhat relevant.
Mhm.
And so I definitely think that that had a part to play in why Dying Light 2 is so big when it first came out is because the first one steadily stayed relevant.
Yeah, which was one of the reviews I was reading was talking about how like Dying Light 2 or sorry, Dying Light 1 maintained they worked on that game through 2020. Like from
Hmm.
I think it released what, like 2014, 15
It was I think 2016.
was it? Okay.
Yeah.
But they continued to put out DLC, put out patches fixing stuff. They continued to
Sorry.
like constantly be doing
You're good.
stuff um through 2020 at least, if not further. I can't remember
No,
what
it
the
was
exact
it
date.
they kept putting out stuff till this day. Until this game came out, they kept putting out stuff.
Mhm.
I keep up with Dying Light. I'm on their Instagram, I'm on their Twitter. I play it every now and then. I log on just to see if there's anything new. And they kept adding different things. They added different events, different little expansions, even if it was just a small little thing. They kept adding stuff. So I really liked how they did that. I
Yeah, and
think I
so
think if they do something similar with this game, it's gonna be great because you're gonna always, even if you finish it, you can come back in another year and have a few other things you can do. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And if you're anything like me, with how much I enjoyed Dying Light 1, I always came back to check. And so,
Yeah, I'm
Um,
kind of curious to see. Sorry, Patrick, what were you saying?
no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I was going to kind of hop onto the train of so Dying Light 1 had the benefit of it came out in this weird time, like it came out almost the exact same time. Like it came out this like January, February-ish time. If
Hmm.
maybe March at the latest, I can't remember, but it came out in this kind of dead time. where we don't have a lot of games typically being released, and so it benefited from that fact of it was like one of the bigger games up until summer. And so I'm curious what your guys's, kind of thoughts are on what kind of legs Dying Light can manage to maintain, just with the fact that even later this month we have both, Horizon Forbidden West, which, the first one did extremely well, was, looked at as a game of the year contender. Second one is expected to, be that same way. And then we also have, the Dark Souls fans are getting Elden Ring later this month, and so I'm kind of curious to see if you guys feel like a lot of these sales are people, kind of buying something to tide themselves over, and just kind of what legs do you see Dying Light 2 continuing to have over the next month or so?
Uh, Personally, I don't think Dying Light 2 is gonna have a problem. Like I and how you were asking about, because what was the original question? You asked why I thought it was doing so good. Was that it?
Yeah, just kind of comparatively. So it
Because you said it did 5 times what the first game did,
yeah, it did
right?
5 times what the first game
So
did.
um, a, I actually was talking about this the other day with one of my friends. We were talking about how I feel like right now, like in this current time, a lot of gamers are starting to go back to story games, like preferring story games and over like shooters. Crap, why can't I think of what it's called? Uh,
Open world?
like no, like an online game. Like people
Okay,
are
yeah, yeah, yeah,
preferring story
multiplayers,
games,
yeah.
and that's part of the reason I think that Dying Light 2 has done so well, because it's you know, uh, and I liked the first story. I don't know why people complained about it so much. But
I loved it.
I think it's a good story game that offers a lot, and that's why I think it did so good to begin with, and
Mm-hmm.
that's also why I think it will not have an issue with uh, those other games coming out. I think it stands alone as a good game, and it'll stay.
I
You know what I mean.
I also agree with that. I definitely think those games won't really affect it much. I mean, the numbers, it just shows that the numbers don't really like lie. They're big because of the how big the game has gotten. Well, the first one got, and how many people were looking forward to this game. I'm sure there was a few people who are just like, "Oh, this game came out, I'll buy it." But there was definitely a lot of us, like me, like Patrick, who are like waiting this game for years to come out and are super hyped to play it. So I definitely think the player base is gonna. It might dip a little when those games come out, but I do not believe that it will like just drop dead like Friday the 13th. The Friday the 13th had one of the biggest first months of any game, and then after that it dipped an insane amount. I don't think it'll do something like that. I definitely think it will stay pretty high in the player base.
Mm-hmm. Um, so, you guys have kind of hinted at and talked about. I want to talk to you guys about what do you think about the story in Dying Light 2?
Um, I'm gonna be real. I am not like Zayden. I've done just about every side quest I found.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Zayden, you can tell me if you like it or don't. I don't want details yet.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely just top level thoughts. Definitely
Top
no
level.
spoilers, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Um,
Um, you want me to
I'm
go
gonna go
first?
first because you know more.
Okay.
um, Basically, all I was gonna say is it seems kind of weak to me. I don't like the flashbacks that are continuously happening.
That was definitely something I was kind of annoyed
They
with.
seem weird. They seem out of place for this type of game. And then like I don't know, like a sister. Like I know, I'm sure they didn't want to do my wife because it's so overplayed, but like I don't know, a sister just seems weird. After 15 years, you're like, I'm hunting her down across the world 6 times over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that definitely it seemed it's
Like I would get a wife. I would get, she's my love, but not a sister.
Yeah, it's also one of those weird ones because,
Hey,
like, in
never mind.
Zayden, no
Zayden,
spoilers
I
or
knew
that
what you
kind
were
of
gonna
thing.
say.
Sorry.
But no spoilers or anything. But so something that's kind of weird also is like along with those flashbacks, like it I always have a weird time of like, and this is maybe spoilers for like the first little bit, but and Zayden, don't confirm this or whatever, because I'm obviously not I am the one who progressed the least. But at least where I was, it never really seemed like they confirmed whether this was in fact our sister or just like our sister, in quotation marks, because, this was the person we hung out with and bonded during those flashback times.
You
And
know,
so it's like very much like
Zayden again,
you
don't
said.
confirm,
Yeah.
but I actually have no clue either. And if now that you point that out, I just kind of assumed it was the
Um,
sister.
they just say it's his sister. They've never said like for
They
sure
never
that
said otherwise.
they've never shown proof that
Yeah,
it
it was
was
just it was
either indeed
weird to me
siblings.
that
I want a
um
DNA test.
in the flashbacks it was kind of just weird to me that they never talked about their parents or anything. And so that was kind of the thing that tipped me off to like, is this actually our sister? Um,
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I don't know. And I mean, even if it is your sister, it's not like you're gonna. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like it changes much versus if it's a real sister or a fake sister. You know what I'm saying? I still feel like it's just such a weird.
yeah, it's definitely because like that's I don't know, at this point I get they're trying to do something different because, we've sat there and we've had a bunch of, um games where it's like, oh, you're looking for lost the number of
It's
times
always
you're
wife.
searching for a wife or that kind of thing, or it's like, oh, your kid or, a parent or that kind of stuff. Like it definitely does feel like this one grabs the least of just like, oh, like Patrick said, like it's like really after 16 years, am I really that concerned still? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I love my family, obviously, but after 15 years or 16, 15 years, and because he says he's traveled, I don't remember what he said. I think it was 4,000 kilometers, which
yeah,
I mean,
It's
that's
2002.
quite two. Oh, okay, but still, that's quite the distance. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure.
well, it's still like
yeah, I don't
also,
know,
It's 1,200 miles.
and it's
for
not, and it's not like he has a car.
right, and like for so obviously, not going to ask for spoilers or that kind of thing. But like, obviously in my head at least, plot wise, I don't think either of you would be at this point, and this is purely hypothetical, but I would assume that she is in fact alive. But at the point where I think any of us are, you know, obviously don't confirm this if you do know Zayden, but where I was at, we had no confirmation as to if she was actually still alive. It's just like
No idea.
this was the last time, this was the last place. Like there's rumors of him being here and he possibly knows where the sister might be, Like that's the extent of our knowledge. And so it's like, it's 15 years and we don't know if this person's alive. Like I'm sorry, but I feel like at like 5 years it's like Zayden, if you disappeared and like, I searched for you for 5 years straight and I never found you, I'd kind of just assume you're dead after 5.
It's fair.
Zayden, I'll give you six.
I love you more. Remember this.
No, I agree though, and it's like 15 years. I don't know if she's alive, and I'm willing to do all this crazy crap, to just even find out. Maybe like what?
Yeah, and so like another thing kind of along those lines, but not necessarily along those lines. Um, it's just kind of like in the vein of story stuff.
uh,
Everybody in this game fucking sucks. Like everybody's an asshole. Like your first like
Yeah.
interactions with people, they straight up try and lynch you because you don't have one of those bio things on you. Like
hmm
Okay.
everybody is terrible in this game. Like
This
there's
is like
not a
There,
the
good
thing.
person.
Everyone's racist.
Like it's just one of
there's
those what Zayden was
there's like
claiming.
one person.
Yeah, like I
You're
feel
the
like
French guy.
what was
No,
that?
not
I told Jillian I don't trust him because he's French.
Who's the French guy? I don't think I've met a French guy.
Oh, Zenith might not even be that far.
Um,
Zenith only played for like 6 minutes. He's just lying about the 3-4 hours.
no. Are you talking about the guy that was former military? Who
Yeah.
like he's the one that like cuts you down and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is he French? I guess I didn't
I
place
don't
his
know. He looks
accent on
French.
that.
I mean, they're probably. I mean, this isn't on Earth, is it? So I guess no one's French, really.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's a good point. Um, but it's just like it's so weird because he is like he is kind of like at least where I'm at, he's like the only character that it's like, oh, he is like not a bad person, but at the same time it's like I feel like nobody's written well because like even he is that like super tired, like poorly done trope of like, oh yeah, my third wife, oh my fifth wife said that, it's like, all right, dude, like
He only had 3. No, I'm just kidding. Still.
it's just it's
Actually, I kind of agree with you on that.
it's just one of those that it's like it feels like so much it like for parts it'll feel good and then it just like hits something where I'm just like really like who thought this was a good idea. Like there was a side quest I did where I had, it was the same poison water one. And and one of the guys like that had the jug, he was out hunting and his wife was like, here, make him drink this alcohol, it'll kill whatever poison's in him, that kind of thing. And you go out, you give him the alcohol, and it's like this cool moment of it's like, oh, I saved the person, that kind of thing. And the dude fucking ruins it of being like, oh, she actually loves me after, like just that classic like, oh, I'm married to this nag, oh my old lady, all she does is nag. And it's like really, bro, like this is the writing that we were like, oh yeah, this is how characters talk in 2036. It's
I
just
definitely think. I think when it comes to quality of voice acting, I think when you ask for this many different potential outcomes of the game, you have to sacrifice voice acting. Do you know what I mean?
it's
Uh,
honestly it's not even voice acting to me, it's the writing. Like I think that the
well,
writing is
that
so poor.
Oh my god.
I mean, I kind of mean the same thing.
Okay.
Like because you can only spend so long writing all this stuff when you're
Oh
also
fuck.
trying to add all this, other stuff to the game. You get what I'm saying? I feel like they just had to pick what to sacrifice, and
Well,
writing and voice acting got sacrificed.
yeah, but and
I don't think the voice acting is bad.
I think the voice acting is okay. I feel like a lot of characters go really over the top with their accents, and it's like, wait, aren't you all from this one place?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Um,
Why do you sound like a
But
British
so
woman?
I think one of my issues with how bad the writing is the fact that leading up to this game being released, the like director of the game himself was putting out tweets bragging about how many lines of dialogue they had, like comparing it to like, oh, Mass Effect or, like other super story-based narrative games. And they're like, "Oh, we have the same amount of written dialogue as them," and that kind of stuff. And then it's like, "All right, but like how
He
much
didn't
of
say
it
it was
is
written
good
well.
dialogue?" Because like my god, I had a quest where some dude's fish got stolen in Eden, and it's like literally the entire quest was I sat there and listened to this dude give a really bad story for 5 minutes, and then it was like mission accomplished, and I'm just like, I feel like I would rather have not done that mission and played the game for 5 more minutes. Like I don't know. It was one of those that it was really hard for me because I was struggling with a lot of the like the parkour didn't feel good, the combat felt like stuff was missing, and then I just couldn't be bothered to continue with the story. And so that was like the side quests and like just all the characters were honestly the thing that finally like pushed me to the point of it's like I don't care if this character finds his sister or not.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But and so that's something that I kind of want to get your you know Patrick's kind of talked about his thoughts on the story. Zayden, if you want to give your thoughts, even just compared to the first one, obviously not too much spoilers, but you can kind of predict where you think the game is going and that kind of stuff.
Zane's just like the sister's dead. Like
I killed her myself. No. Um,
Really ruined
I
the
turned
whole
into a
game,
zombie and I
huh?
killed her.
Oh man, that would be rough.
no, but I enjoy the story. I definitely think it's not the best written story of all time, but I definitely still enjoy it. I have a lot of fun playing this game. I mean, I put in already almost 16 hours into this game, and I still love it. I think it's getting I think it gets better the more I play it. The story keeps getting more interesting. There keeps getting more choices, whatnot.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with you on that one. I feel like the missions have gotten funner. Um,
yeah, they definitely have,
around the 8-9 hour mark, I would say they started to get a little bit more fun.
hmm
But I
and they're
mean, but
getting more
still,
intense.
and
Uh,
still, you're forced to do it at fucking night.
yeah, and
One of the more intense ones they didn't make you do at night, so that was good.
I I'm definitely kind of curious to see how you guys feel about one of the biggest things is, like so many people reviewing the game and that kind of thing specifically call out the last like hour or two of the main story of just like I was enjoying the game until it hit this point and then it was just absolute garbage. So I'm really curious to kind of see as you guys hit it, just the text roll in and that kind of thing.
We'll
Um,
have to do a follow up.
right, for
Yeah.
sure. Um, Yeah, so I'm trying to think of I feel like I had one more thing I was going to ask you guys. But
I have a question.
yeah, go for it.
For, well, Zenith, you probably didn't get much of it, but Zayden, how do you feel about the armor? It feels pointless to me so far. Like how you can change how you can change your gear, I guess.
How much
I feel
armor
like,
do you have?
what
Like,
do you
what's
mean?
your armor points?
16.
Hmm.
I don't know. It just doesn't.
I think you might have just as much as I do.
I don't know. I don't know. Like it just seems like a weird ad. I don't
I
know.
think I think most of it is just so you can change what your player looks like instead of having to look at the same old crap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
Because
mean, but
in the
you play
original
in
game,
first
you
person.
could change outfits. You could never change like specific things. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you had to change the whole outfit. In this, you can change your shirt. You can change your
No,
shoes.
I
You know
get
what I'm saying?
that. I agree with what you're saying. I just like I said, I would rather all the
There's
time that was in the gear be in the dialogue.
Um,
Do you get what I
there's
mean?
there's also perks to having different things. Like certain boots could be like like give you better medic stats. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
just different things like that. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's just what I mean. I don't know. Like I equip a full, like a half set of medic stats versus other stuff, and it doesn't feel like it matters.
I agree.
I don't know.
It doesn't do much, but yeah.
That kind of reminds me of I felt that same exact way with Cyberpunk, where
Oh,
what's
I
the
don't even want to
point
talk about
of
that crap.
it's like what's the point of any of these armors because I feel like I'm literally dying the same. They supposedly have skills, but it doesn't feel like it's contributing enough to justify my character looking like an idiot. And so I would just like always go with what looked cool rather than like what the armor was because it's like I'm still dying with 3 shots no matter what I wear.
Yeah, that game was so horrendous. I don't even. I It was so bad. I won't give it a second shot just because they don't deserve it. Like it was so terrible.
So
At
I
least how I felt about that one.
So I am I'm curious to see like as, a final little wrap up. So um something that I thought was quite interesting. I thought it was kind of a shitty move on the part of the Dying Light 2 developers. So they sent out, the review copies, that kind of thing. And then after review copies were sent out, they patched out 1,000 bugs and glitches. And then on the day one patch, they then proceeded to patch out an additional 1,000. With that, how were your guys' bugs and stuff? Did you guys have any that you've been dealing with? Just what's that situation looking like for you guys?
I've only had one bug, where a zombie Well, I guess I've kind of had two. I've had one where a zombie is like wall hacking, like dude can see me no matter where I'm at. And then I had one where there's a zombie that was in, like he kept like he would walk into the wall, so I couldn't mess with him. And then I'd
Yeah,
get close and
had that.
I'd get close and he'd beat me. But like that's pretty much it. Definitely nothing game breaking whatsoever.
I've had the second one you had where they were stuck like in a wall, and it was annoying. But I've also had. It's probably because I'm on Xbox Three, not Xbox 360. That'd be awful. Xbox
That's
One.
impressive.
That would be impressive.
Yeah, I hacked it and made it to where my Xbox could run it. Not to brag. No, but it's probably because I'm on Xbox One. But every now and then, my game crashes. It
Yeah.
it's
I
after you've had that.
no problem.
Okay. It's after like it's not like every hour or whatnot, but it hasn't happened today, thankfully. Like I've been on for like probably 7 hours straight. But shut up. um I haven't been kicked out, but yesterday I, it was about every 4 hours, I think, I was getting kicked out. I also had a glitch happen twice where when I logged in, um, it was making this weird buzzing sound, like, and I couldn't hear anything. I loaded into the game and I couldn't hear the people talking to me, and so I had to restart my game. That happened twice, but that was
That's weird.
yesterday
Yeah.
as well.
I
It hasn't
wonder.
happened today.
I
I
wonder if
think they
it
might have
is.
fixed it already, but I don't know.
I wonder if it is an Xbox One thing versus a
It
Series X thing.
I think it has to be because I mean, yeah. I also never mind. I've had like what this is the third. Um, Sometimes the audio doesn't. They don't finish their sentences. Like someone will be talking and midway through their sentence they'll skip to the next line, and so yeah,
That's weird.
that also only happened yesterday. So I don't know if they fixed anything, but ever since today, I haven't had any issues with glitches, but that all happened yesterday.
Did you have any glitches, Zenith?
So I had quite a few. I
What
did
were you playing on? Out of curiosity.
I played on the Xbox One, but most of mine were like I wouldn't say it was like crashing or that kind of stuff. It was like actual just like game glitches rather than like performance issue. I'd say my funniest one was I had a cutscene where a zombie was attacking somebody the entire time, but
Ah, that's a great. I want those kind of glitches. That sounds funny.
yeah, no, I was just like watching and I was like, is this supposed to be happening? Because like we were being
As he's
attacked.
talking to you, you're just getting hammered by a fucking
Yeah, and
zombie.
so that one was really weird. I had several times where I was supposed to be following that guy in the main quest that kind of like leads you around for that first bit, and he would just like go to parkour and he'd just like fall to the floor and like watching the like the NPC like try and figure out how to like climb back up was hilarious. Like occasionally he'd like teleport up, to like
That's
where he was
awesome.
supposed to be. I had a couple of those, but for the most part, it wasn't so bad, which I was pretty happy about. Um, but so, I find it kind of interesting. Obviously no game breaking bugs for each of us, which is nice. But, with all these delays and that kind of stuff, I wanted to get your thoughts on the fact that we're all very early in this game, but from reading reviews and hearing people talk about it, originally when this game was talked about, it was supposed to be there was going to be these like major events that would happen throughout the story that would change the face of the map and wipe out quests and like this and that, to where there would be a bunch of different like ways to play through the game. And as they delayed and were working on the game, they completely pulled all of those, to where they're still like, oh, you make little decisions this way or that way, but you kind of get to the same end point no matter what. It's just the details are a little bit different. Like one example was there was one that they had kind of like discussed as like oh, this is what we're looking at, and if you sided with one group or whatever, you would basically flood an entire area, to where there'd be like this huge water area now in the map, and it would kill everybody that was there, and you'd lose all those quests, and you'd lose all those characters and that kind of stuff. And so, like, I wanted your guys' thoughts on how ambitious this game was and how much they dialed it back, if that's a disappointment to you guys, or if you're happy with where the game ended up.
Wait, so you're saying that doesn't happen anymore? Like
That
you can't drown
So
places?
I don't know about that specific incident, but they had like a bunch throughout the story where it was supposed to be like these huge like game changing ones where it was going to change the
Mm.
face of the map, and
Well, so far most of it's been whether I should give um certain things to people.
yeah,
Um and it doesn't change that much, but it changes how much you associate with the other group. Like I I don't know, I don't want to spoil anything, but for the most part I've sided with the peacekeepers mainly because they give me better stuff.
You bitch.
What? They give me better stuff. I don't like either of them. So
I don't either.
I hated both of them. So I went with the one I liked them. Well, got the most cool stuff from. So I
I
chose.
I I agree with you. I'm just teasing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I chose them, and I haven't had a mission from the survivors since. Like um I don't really see them. I hear about them doing stuff, but I haven't seen them. I'm mostly fighting the like punks of the area. I forget what they're called.
The Raiders? I don't remember.
Something like that. I don't know. The Renegades. That's it.
so how about you, Patrick? How do you feel just based on stuff that they originally talked about wanting to do with this game and kind of where it ended up?
Um, I I think that what they wanted to do was extremely, extremely, extremely ambitious. Like no game's done anything close to that to the same scale.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I would much prefer them tone it down than ruin the game like Cyberpunk. So I'm 100% cool with what they did choose to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather this than a completely shit game
For sure. And
where they tried to make that work and then they couldn't do everything else that they wanted.
so, final question, because I feel fairly confident in saying, like as we've discussed through this, both of you guys recommend this game.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay, so
Not to everybody, but
so final question is, do you think there will be a Dying Light 3?
From right
uh
now, I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
based on the story, yeah, neither of us will have any idea. Based on
Well, I mean, this one's kind of unrelated from the first one. Like there's some tie-in, but
yeah, you got a point. They don't really.
It, well, it's mostly just the world that
Yeah,
is nothing really other
so
than Spike. There hasn't been anything.
yeah, so I
I
mean,
I really hope there is because I want to learn what the hell happened to Crane because I thought he was helping that old doctor create a cure, and I want to know what the hell happened to that. Like, why didn't it work? They never said anything about it. So
um, Zenith, I could see a Dying Light 3 where maybe they do get what they had, wanted in this game.
mhm.
Or maybe a choice does destroy the whole world kind of thing. I could see that whole like that would make sense to me.
Alrighty.
So
And with that, I definitely, I'm curious to see, you know, this one I'm able to give my thoughts a bit more, but next time if we do another video, it'll definitely be me more so being like, all right, what endings did you guys get? Or I think there's only one ending, but like more so, how'd you guys get to it? Did you both go Peacekeeper?
actually, I'm not Peacekeeper. I'm the other people.
Hey, that's actually really good because then we can kind of
We can
discuss
get
and
both.
see what side gets what and that kind of thing. But
Yeah, but now Zayden has made me want to switch.
well, did you not? I looked. I took so much time just looking at what
I did,
folks would
but
give me, and I was like, the survivors, what they give me is so lame. It's not useful at all.
I mean the extra parkour stuff is.
I guess, but I have so many perks that I can jump so far and
I
stuff, so
know.
I don't need it.
That's fair.
Alrighty, guys, we'll definitely do another one of these. Once you guys finish it, I'll ask you more questions. I'm definitely not going to be continuing, but that I don't know. It's funny. Laura, she like watched me play this a good bit, and she's like, I've never seen a game make me want to play Far Cry so bad. And I was just like, oh
That
God,
I agree with you with Laura a lot on that because I definitely get Far Cry vibes from this game.
yeah, it's
Like
definitely
just from the gameplay itself, like
right.
the engine almost.
But
So I
yeah,
get that.
we we'll definitely have to get together, do another one of these. So I'll do a little outro now, and then I'll let you guys go. But hey, guys, this was done over on twitch.tv/GlintingRuffian. If you want to watch the VOD, that is at the Glinting Ruffian YouTube channel. We just put out a new highlight today over on TikTok. That's also at Glinting Ruffian. And you know what? I've been tweeting a bunch more over at the Glinting Ruffian Twitter. So yeah, follow me on all the things, on all the places. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.